The air thickened. The walls vibrated. The mouths fell silent. Every single one. Marla froze. The heartbeat stopped. For a moment there was absolute silence. Then, a low hum, deep, resonant, familiar. The threadwalker was near, not physically, but through the maze, through the walls, through the mouths. The mouths opened again, but this time they didn't inhale. They whispered, in perfect unison, in a voice that wasn't hers, in a voice that wasn't human. "He is coming!" Marla backed away. The walls bulged, split, and a massive shadow moved behind the tissue, a silhouette of 8 legs, a towering torso, and a slit of red light. The threadwalker was on the other side of the wall, walking slowly, patiently, following her through the maze, not breaking through, not rushing, just keeping pace, because it knew the maze would deliver her. Marla stumbled into a vast chamber, the ceiling arched high above her, pulsing like a giant lung. The floor was slick with a thin layer of dark fluid. The walls were covered in mouths, thousands of them, all whispering, all twitching, all tasting the air. In the center of the chamber was a pit, a deep circular hole lined with writhing tongues, long, thin, pale. They writhed like worms, reaching upward, tasting the air. Marla stepped back. The tongues followed her movement. She stepped left. They followed. She stepped right. They followed. Then the mouths whispered again. "Jump!" She shook her head violently. No, I'm not." The tongues surged upward. She ran. The corridor she entered twisted violently, throwing her against the wall. Mouths bit at her clothes, tearing fabric, scraping skin. She pushed forward, screaming, bleeding, desperate. The heartbeat grew louder. The hum grew deeper. The walls trembled. And then, a seam split open ahead of her. A doorway, a way out. She sprinted toward it. The doorway widened, brightened, welcomed her. She reached it. And the threadwalker stepped through. It didn't lunge. It didn't roar. It didn't even move quickly. It simply appeared, right in front of her. Its slit pulsed with red hunger. Its tendrils writhed. Its mandibles clicked. And the maze whispered, "He is hungry." Marla turned and ran back into the darkness. But the maze had already chosen its meal. And the threadwalker had already chosen its moment. Marla didn't remember choosing a direction. Her legs moved on instinct, pure animal panic, guiding her deeper into the maze. The walls pulsed around her, the mouths whispering in a language that felt like breath on the back of her neck. Behind her, the threadwalker's hum vibrated through the tissue of the maze. Not closer, not farther, just present. Always present. She wasn't escaping it. She was circling it, like prey caught in the orbit of a planet-sized predator. Chapter 5. The Threaded Ones. The corridor narrowed until Marla had to turn sideways to squeeze through. The walls pressed against her shoulders. Warm, damp, and trembling. She tried not to look at them, but she couldn't help it. Faces, human faces, dozens of them, embedded in the walls like fossils trapped in amber. Some were fresh, eyes wide, mouths open in silent screams. Some were old, features melted, stretched, barely recognizable. Some were nothing but skulls wrapped in thin layers of translucent flesh. Their eyes followed her. Their lips twitched, their throats vibrated, and then they spoke. Not in unison, not in chaos, but in a broken, desperate chorus. "Help us." "Run. Don't run. He sees you. He hears you. He wants you." Marla stumbled backward, covering her ears. But the voices weren't coming from the walls. They were coming from inside her skull. A face near her knee shifted, the flesh around it peeled back like wet paper. A hand emerged, thin, skeletal, trembling. Then a shoulder, then a torso. A woman pulled herself out of the wall, gasping like someone surfacing from deep water. Her skin was pale and stretched thin over her bones. Her hair hung in clumps. Her eyes were milky white, but somehow still aware. She looked at Marla and smiled, not with joy, with relief. "You're new." Marla backed away. Who are you?" The woman's smile widened, cracking the skin at the corners of her mouth. "We are the threaded ones." She stepped forward, her movements jerky and unnatural, like a puppet pulled by invisible strings. "We were like you once. We ran. We hid. We screamed." Her voice cracked. "And then he found us." The woman reached out and touched Marla's cheek with a trembling hand. Her fingers were cold, too cold. "He doesn't kill us." Marla swallowed hard. "Then what does he do?" The woman leaned in. Her breath smelled like dust and rot. "He threads us." Marla shook her head. I don't understand." The woman's chest split open, not violently, not suddenly, but slowly, like a zipper being undone. Inside her ribcage were strands of glowing red thread, woven through her bones, her organs, her veins. They pulsed with the same rhythm as the threadwalker's slit. Thump, thump, thump. The woman whispered, "He weaves us into the maze." More faces peeled themselves from the walls. More bodies emerged. Men, women, children, all thin, all pale, all threaded. Their chests glowed with red light. Their veins pulsed with the threadwalker's heartbeat. Their eyes were empty, but aware. They surrounded Marla, not threatening, not attacking, just observing. One of them, a boy no older than 12, stepped forward. His voice was soft. "Broken. He doesn't eat us." Another voice, an older man, continued. "He keeps us." A woman with half her face missing whispered, "Forever." Marla backed away. No, I'm not. I'm not staying here." The boy shook his head. "You don't get to choose." The hum returned, deep, vibrating, inevitable. The threaded ones fell silent. Every head turned toward the corridor behind Marla. The walls trembled. The mouths opened. The heartbeat grew louder. And then the threadwalker stepped into the chamber, slow, graceful, patient. Its 8 legs pierced the floor with wet, sucking sounds. Its slit pulsed with red hunger. Its tendrils writhed. The threaded ones bowed, every single one. Marla froze. The threadwalker leaned down. Its mandibles clicked. Its slit widened, and the voice inside her skull whispered, "You are almost ready." Marla ran. The threaded ones didn't follow. They didn't need to. They knew the truth. In the 6th dimension, there was no escape, no rescue, no mercy, only the threadwalker, and the slow, inevitable weaving of every soul it claimed. The maze spat Marla out, literally. A seam in the wall split open behind her, and a surge of hot, fetid air blasted her forward into a new chamber. She hit the ground hard, sliding across a slick surface that felt like wet stone or wet skin. The seam sealed shut behind her. Silence followed, a silence so deep it felt like pressure on her chest. She pushed herself up, trembling, and looked around. This wasn't a corridor. This wasn't a room. This was a pit. A vast, spiraling descent carved into the flesh of the 6th dimension. a funnel of living tissue that twisted downward into darkness. The walls pulsed, the floor throbbed, the air vibrated with a low rhythmic hum, the threadwalker's hum. She was in its feeding grounds. Chapter 6. The Hunger Spiral. The spiral was enormous, wide enough to hold a stadium, deep enough that the bottom was swallowed by shadow. The walls were lined with ridges of bone-like structures, each one slick with a dark, viscous fluid that dripped slowly downward. Every few seconds, the entire structure shuddered, like a stomach contracting. Marla staggered to her feet. Her shoes stuck slightly to the ground, a thin layer of mucus clinging to the soles. She wiped her hands on her jeans. They came away wet. The air tasted metallic and sweet, like rotting fruit mixed with blood. She gagged. Then she heard it, a sound from below, a wet, dragging scrape. Then another, then dozens. Something was climbing the spiral. Shapes emerged from the darkness, small at first, then larger, then too large. The hungerlings, the spawn of the threadwalker, crawled up the spiral walls like insects climbing a drain. Their bodies were malformed, each one a different mistake. Some had too many legs, some had none. Some had human faces stretched across chitin skulls. Some had no faces at all, just smooth, pulsing skin. Some whispered in Marla's voice. Some whispered in voices she didn't recognize. Their eyes, when they had eyes, glowed faintly red, the same red as the threadwalker's slit. They weren't hunting her. They were ascending, drawn upward, toward her, toward the meal. Marla backed away, but the spiral floor shifted beneath her feet, rising, tilting, pushing her downward. She stumbled, sliding several feet before catching herself on a ridge of bone. The spiral was moving, not randomly, not mechanically, but intentionally. It was guiding her, feeding her downward, toward the center, toward the hunger. She scrambled upward, clawing at the ridges, slipping on the mucus-slick surface. Ease. The spiral tilted again. She slid farther. The hungerlings shrieked, a chorus of wet, gurgling cries, and surged upward, their limbs scraping against the walls. Marla screamed. The spiral didn't care. It wanted her to fall. A shadow passed overhead. Marla froze. Slowly she lifted her gaze. The threadwalker stood at the top of the spiral, silhouetted against the pulsing sky. Its 8 legs were spread wide, anchoring it to the rim. Its torso leaned forward, mandibles twitching. Its slit pulsed with red light. Its tendrils writhed. It wasn't descending. It didn't need to. It was watching, waiting, letting the spiral do its work, letting the hungerlings drive her downward, letting fear ripen her, because the threadwalker didn't just eat flesh, it ate terror, and Marla was becoming delicious. The spiral tilted again, violently this time. Marla lost her grip. She slid downward, tumbling, scraping her arms and legs on the ridges. The mucus burned her skin. The air rushed past her ears. She crashed into a cluster of hungerlings. They shrieked, scattering like startled insects. One latched onto her ankle. Its mouth opened, a ring of needle-like teeth. Marla kicked it away, screaming. Another lunged. She scrambled backward, slipping, clawing at the wall. The spiral tilted again. She slid deeper. The hungerlings followed. The threadwalker hummed. The walls pulsed. The spiral contracted. She was being swallowed. The spiral ended in a vast, circular chamber, a pit within a pit. The floor was covered in a thick, dark fluid that rippled with every heartbeat. In the center of the chamber was a mound of bodies, threaded ones, hundreds of them. Their chests glowed faintly red. Their eyes were open. Their mouths twitched. Their limbs were tangled together like roots. They weren't dead. They weren't alive. They were waiting. Marla slid into the chamber, landing hard on the slick floor. The threaded ones turned their heads toward her. Every single one. Their voices rose in a whispering chorus. He is hungry. The hum deepened. The chamber shook. The threadwalker descended the spiral, not walking, not climbing, but gliding, its legs barely touching the walls. Its slit widened. Its tendrils unfurled. Its mandibles clicked. The threaded ones reached toward Marla with trembling hands, not to save her, to offer her. The threadwalker leaned down. Its breath was hot and wet. Its voice filled her skull. "You are ready." Marla tried to crawl backward. The threaded ones held her. The hungerlings circled. The spiral pulsed. The threadwalker opened its rib cage, a cage of bone and thread and hunger. And Marla realized this wasn't the end. This was the beginning of being threaded, the beginning of being kept, the beginning of being consumed, slowly, completely. Inevitably. Chapter 7. The False Escape. Marla didn't remember losing consciousness. One moment she was in the hunger spiral, surrounded by threaded ones and the looming shadow of the threadwalker, and the next she was lying on something soft, warm, familiar. She opened her eyes, then gasped. She was in her bedroom, her real bedroom. The posters on the wall, the flickering lamp, the messy desk, the closet door. Closed, harmless, ordinary. Sunlight streamed through the window. Birds chirped outside. Her heart pounded. Her breath caught. She sat up slowly, touching the blankets, the mattress, the pillow. Everything felt real. Too real. Marla stumbled out of bed and ran to the hallway. Her mother was in the kitchen, humming softly as she made breakfast. The smell of pancakes filled the air. Her mother turned, smiling. "Morning, sweetheart. You're up early." Marla froze. Her mother looked exactly right. Her hair, her eyes, her voice. But something was off. Something tiny, something she couldn't name. Her mother stepped closer. "You look pale. Bad dream?" Marla opened her mouth. No sound came out. Her mother touched her cheek gently. Her hand was warm, comforting, human. But the warmth lingered too long, like it was trying to sink into her skin. Do you want to know what happens next? If so, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because it really helps out the channel. If you want the next part of the story, comment next part in the comments. We have new stories releasing every day, so until then, haunt you later.